Hey design lovers, welcome back to Home and Harmony. I'm absolutely thrilled to share my latest project with you today. You know how everyone says maximalism doesn't work in small spaces? Well, I'm about to prove them completely wrong. One transformed my tiny 450 square foot apartment into a stunning maximalist sanctuary that's bursting with personality. If you're ready to see how bold prints, rich textures, and clever styling can make even the smallest space feel like a luxury retreat, then you're in for a treat. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you love bold design ideas. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Choosing a color foundation. Let's start with the backbone of any maximalist space, your color foundation. I chose a rich emerald green as my base because it's sophisticated yet daring. The key is picking one bold color that you absolutely love, then building everything around it. I painted one accent wall in this gorgeous jewel tone, which instantly made my small living room feel more intimate and luxurious. Don't be afraid to go dark in small spaces. It actually creates depth and makes your room feel larger than it is. This foundation color will guide all your other choices, from furniture to accessories, creating a cohesive maximalist look that feels intentional rather than chaotic. Curating bold prints. Now comes the fun part, mixing prints like a pro. The secret to successful pattern mixing is having a unifying element, which in my case is that emerald green base. I layered paisley cushions with geometric throws and a vintage floral ottoman cover. The trick is varying the scale of your patterns. Pair large botanical prints with smaller geometric ones. Start with 3 different patterns, maximum, then build confidence from there. I always keep one neutral pattern, like a classic stripe, or small polka dot, to give the eye a place to rest. Remember, maximalism is about confidence. So trust your instincts and choose prints that make you smile every time you walk into the room. Creating a gallery wall. Gallery walls are a maximalist's best friend, especially in small apartments where every inch of wall space counts. I created an eclectic mix using vintage botanical prints, family photos, and small mirrors in ornate frames. The key is laying everything out on the floor first. I spent an entire afternoon arranging and rearranging pieces until it felt perfect. Mix different frame styles and sizes, but keep some consistency through color or material. I used mostly gold and brass frames to tie everything together. Don't worry about perfect spacing. Slightly imperfect arrangements actually look more curated and live-in, which is exactly the vibe we're going for in maximalist design. Books as decor. Who says books are just for reading? I've turned my collection into gorgeous decorative elements throughout the apartment. Stack books horizontally on shelves to create platforms for small plants or decorative objects. I arranged books by color in some areas to create visual impact. Those rainbow bookshelves you see on Pinterest actually work beautifully in maximalist spaces. Coffee table books become instant conversation starters when styled with a small brass sculpture or vintage magnifying glass. The key is mixing vertical and horizontal arrangements. And don't be afraid to leave some books slightly askew. That perfectly imperfect look adds to the lived-in charm that makes maximalist spaces feel so welcoming and personal. Cozy seating arrangements. Small spaces require smart seating solutions that don't sacrifice style. I chose a curved velvet love seat in deep burgundy as my statement piece. The curved shape creates better flow in tight spaces than boxy furniture. I added a vintage rattan chair with a bold geometric cushion to create a conversation area. The secret is choosing pieces with interesting shapes and rich textures rather than playing it safe with basic furniture. I also incorporated a poof that doubles as storage and extra seating. When arranging furniture in small spaces, pull pieces slightly away from walls to create the illusion of more space. And always consider how people will move through the room when entertaining. Layering rugs for depth. Layering rugs is one of my favorite maximalist tricks, and it works beautifully in small apartments. I started with a large jute rug as my base. It's neutral and provides texture without competing with other elements. Then I layered a smaller vintage Persian rug on top, which brings in those rich colors that tie into my emerald foundation. The key is choosing rugs with different textures and patterns, but keeping them in the same color family. This technique adds incredible depth and warmth to your space while defining different areas within your apartment. Don't worry about perfect alignment. Slightly offset rugs create a more organic, collected over time feel that's essential to maximalist style. Incorporating vintage and thrifted finds. The soul of maximalism lies in unique, collected pieces with stories to tell. I've filled my apartment with treasures from flea markets and vintage shops, a brass peacock sculpture, ceramic vases with interesting glazes, and vintage brass candlesticks. The key is mixing different eras and styles while maintaining some common threads like metallic finishes or organic shapes. I always look for pieces with interesting textures or unusual proportions. These vintage finds add character that you simply can't buy new, and they're often much more affordable than contemporary designer pieces. Plus, there's something magical about surrounding yourself with objects that have history and personality. It makes your space feel truly one. Styling. Open shelving. Open shelving in a maximalist space is like creating a three-dimensional art installation. I style my shelves with a mix of books, plants, ceramics, and personal treasures. But the key is creating visual balance. I use the rule of odd numbers. Grouping objects in 3s or 5s creates more dynamic arrangements. I vary heights by mixing tall vases with shorter objects. And I always include something with organic shape, like a small plant or curved ceramic piece. Don't fill every inch. Leaving some breathing room actually makes your displays look more intentional. I also rotate items seasonally to keep the space feeling fresh and evolving, which is perfect for those of us who love to constantly refresh our surroundings. Using mirrors to expand the space. Mirrors are absolutely essential in small, maximalist spaces. They reflect light and create the illusion of more space while adding to your decorative scheme. I hung a large sunburst mirror opposite my window to bounce natural light around the room. I also incorporated smaller mirrors into my gallery wall and placed a vintage hand mirror on my coffee table as a decorative object. The key is choosing mirrors with interesting frames that complement your maximalist aesthetic. Ornate vintage frames, geometric modern shapes, or even antique hand mirrors all work beautifully. Position mirrors to reflect something beautiful, like a plant or artwork, rather than just empty wall space. This doubles the visual impact of your favorite pieces while making the room feel larger and brighter. Scent as part of Decor. Maximalism engages all the senses, and scent is an often overlooked element that can transform your space. I incorporate fragrance through beautiful objects that serve double duty, vintage brass incense holders, reed in gorgeous glass bottles, and candles in decorative vessels that become part of my styling. I choose scents that complement my color scheme. Rich, warm fragrances like sandalwood and bergamot work beautifully with my emerald and burgundy palette. The key is layering subtle scents rather than overwhelming the space. I also love using scented drawer liners and potpourri in decorative bowls. When guests walk into your maximalist sanctuary, they should be greeted by a signature scent that makes the space feel truly special and memorable. Creating visual flow. The secret to successful maximalist design in small spaces is creating visual flow that guides the eye around the room. I achieve this by repeating colors and materials throughout the space that emerald green appears in: cushions, artwork, and plant pots. I also use similar metallic finishes, mainly brass and gold, scattered throughout the apartment. The key is creating a path for the eye to follow, connecting different areas through color, texture, or shape. I might have a curved element in my seating area that echoes the shape of a mirror across the room, or repeat a specific shade of pink in both artwork and throw pillows. This repetition creates harmony within the apparent chaos, making your maximalist space feel cohesive and intentional rather than overwhelming. Functional storage solutions. Maximalist doesn't mean messy. Smart storage is crucial for maintaining the look. I chose storage pieces that are beautiful enough to display, like vintage woven baskets and ornate wooden boxes. My ottoman opens to reveal hidden storage, and I use decorative trays to corral smaller items on surfaces. The key is choosing storage that adds to your aesthetic rather than detracting from it. I invested in a beautiful vintage armoire that houses everything from linens to electronics while looking like a stunning piece of furniture. Underbed storage boxes covered in gorgeous fabric hide seasonal items. Remember, in maximalist design, even your storage solutions should be beautiful and contribute to the overall visual feast you're creating throughout your space. Maximalist kitchen touches. Even tiny kitchens can embrace maximalist principles. I replaced plain cabinet hardware with ornate brass knobs and hung vintage copper pots as functional art. Open shelving displays. My collection of colorful ceramics and vintage glassware. I added a small gallery wall of botanical prints and hung dried herbs in beautiful bundles. The key is choosing functional items that are also beautiful. A gorgeous vintage scale, colorful dish towels, and plants in interesting pots all serve dual purposes. I painted the inside of my cabinets a bold color that peeks out when doors are open, and I use a beautiful vintage tray to corral oils and spices on the counter. Every element works hard while contributing to the overall maximalist aesthetic. Decorating with mood boards. Creating physical mood boards is a fantastic way to plan your maximalist space, and they become beautiful wall art themselves. I created a large corkboard covered in gorgeous fabric and pinned fabric swatches, paint, chips, magazine tear sheets, and inspiration photos. It's like having a giant Pinterest board in real life. This helps me visualize how different elements work together before committing to purchases. I also created smaller mood boards for different areas of the apartment, one for the bedroom, one for the kitchen. These boards evolve as I find new inspiration, and they're wonderful conversation starters when friends visit. The key is choosing a beautiful base, whether it's cork, fabric, or even chicken wire in a gorgeous frame, so the mood board itself becomes part of your decor. And there you have it, my complete maximalist transformation that proves small spaces can absolutely handle bold, beautiful design. The key is being intentional with every choice while embracing the joy of mixing patterns, colors, and textures. Remember, maximalism is about surrounding yourself with things you love and creating a space that tells your unique story. Every piece in my apartment has meaning and brings me joy, which is what makes this style so incredibly satisfying. If this transformation inspired you to embrace maximalism in your own space, I'd love to see your results. Share them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to Home and Harmony for more bold design ideas, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest room makeovers. Until next time, keep designing with confidence.